China's real estate bubble is absolutely collapsing. In 2008, when the subprime mortgage crisis nearly ended modern capitalism, housing was 8% of U.S. GDP, while housing is still 25% of China's. This is an epic meltdown, and it's just beginning. Meanwhile, in the United States, inflation is so high that the Federal Reserve is talking about raising interest rates further, choking credit out of the economy completely. Gold is perfect for this environment, but it's near all-time highs already. So I want to present a company called Gold Mining Inc., trading on the New York Stock Exchange under the ticker GLDG. This is a company that is extremely cheap. At the end of this video, click on this link in the description box. There's an entire presentation explaining how this company is effectively 80% or 90% more discounted than anything out there. If you're bullish on gold, I urge you to stop everything you're doing and download this carefully drafted report now. Good afternoon. I'm still reporting on the coup. And I'm not at all happy to report that the coupsters are still getting their way in the Congress of the United States, because this morning they voted to support probably the worst possible pick for Speaker of the House, former George Soros employee and probably the biggest rhino of them all, Tom Emmer. And how did George Soros employ Tom Emmer? Emmer was the paid spokesman for the George Soros-funded National Popular Vote Initiative, which is the group trying to destroy, or at least gut, the Electoral College method of selecting the President of the United States. And what's so good about the Electoral College? The framers of the U.S. Constitution knew that if that were left to a popular vote, then only the biggest, most populous states would get any presidential attention. Imagine in today's world what that would mean. What states would get all the money? New York and California. And which party do they usually support? Exactly. Worst of all, most of the members of the Republican caucus who voted for Emmer as the GOP nominee have also signed a letter promising to support the nominee when the vote comes before the entire Congress. This is not good. Emmer is being railroaded into the Speaker's chair essentially by the same K Street lobbyists who bought enough votes at a certain bar on Pennsylvania Avenue between the White House and the Capitol last week to prevent Jim Jordan from getting the gavel. However, unless you had been reading the Gateway Pundit closely or this report, you would never know this, one of the biggest stories in the history of American politics. You mean we now know that the guys with lots of money make a profession of buying and selling votes of congresspeople? Yes, that's exactly what I mean. It's true, and it's now a fact. But 99% of the American people don't know that because 99% of the American media will not report it. Why? Probably because these same lobbyists are connected to the folks who own the American media, would be my guess. It's insidious, but now a proven fact that it looks like a direct employee of George Soros is about to become Speaker of the U.S. House of Representatives with all that entails. Just minutes ago, President Trump finally put out his decision on Emmer. I have many wonderful friends wanting to be Speaker of the House, and some are truly great warriors. Rhino Tom Emmer, who I do not know well, is not one of them. He fought me all the way and actually spent more time defending Ilhan Omar than he did me. He is totally out of touch with Republican voters. I believe he now has learned his lesson because he's saying that he is pro-Trump all the way. But who can ever be sure? Has he only changed because that's what it takes to win? The Republican Party cannot take that chance because that's not where the America First voters are. Voting for a globalist rhino like Tom Emmer would be a tragic mistake. Wow, I can't keep up with this story. After Trump's blast on Emmer has dropped out. However, there's a good alternative. And my journalist friend John Hammer put out a piece on his Substack today explaining just who the best alternative for the health and welfare of the American people would be at this point. So I yield the floor to the piece by John Hammer. You can check out his Substack address in the description box below. The solution to the empty speaker's chair is simple: being kind. It may be that those involved are too close to see the obvious. The Republicans should vote for Speaker pro tempore Patrick McHenry, Republican of North Carolina, to be the Speaker and go back to work. McHenry is not as divisive as some of his colleagues who want the job. McHenry is not running for Speaker, which puts him miles ahead of all the losers who, now that the front runners are out, have decided to stick their toes in the water. Also, McHenry is in a position where he could usurp a little power, and he is not. McHenry has played his pro tempore role by the book. Give it to McHenry. He will be perfectly competent, write good reports, and be home in time for supper. It's not like you have to have some special aptitude or ability to be Speaker. Nancy Pelosi couldn't string a sentence together, and according to the Democrats, other than the 3 hours of makeup work it took to fool people into thinking that she was a living, breathing human being, she was a star as Speaker. Dennis Hastert, the longest-serving Republican Speaker in history, was not an impressive character. Less impressive after he was convicted of paying bribes to cover up sexual molestation of boys on the wrestling team he coached before being elected to the House. But his sexual proclivities aside, he still doesn't have an impressive resume. The point is that a marginally competent representative can be an acceptable Speaker. The hard part is not serving as Speaker, but getting elected Speaker. McHenry has the good sense not to go after the job, which puts him at least head and shoulders above the folks who feel that gavel in their slimy little hands. At the end of a year, the Republicans, if they can manage to hang on to a majority in the House, can go through it all again and elect a new Speaker. It's not like it's a lifetime appointment. Elect McHenry Speaker and move on. The Republican members of the House may not realize it because they are so busy gazing at their own navels, but there's quite a bit going on in the world right now, and we certainly can't trust old Joe to come back from the beach and handle it. I'm still reporting from just outside the citadel of world freedom. Good day. Beth and I are trying to rebuild this channel, but we can't do it without you. If you value this type of historical analysis with just a touch of humor, please subscribe to this channel and share it around with your friends. And if you can afford to donate, I hate to say it, but we really need people to step up right now with a recurrent amount so that we don't have to go arm twisting every month. You can find us on PayPal at stillreport@gmail.com, Patreon at the following link, or Subscribestar at Still Report. We are still reporting from just outside the citadel of world freedom. Good day.